we want to thank you for the opportunity to present to you guys. I like my presentations to be very informal, so if someone needs to stop me in the middle of it and have a question, please feel free to do so. I'll try not to eat up all of your time with the dissertation, but I do want to get through the content to let you know what's available out there, especially in this time. We've been doing these webinars for quite some time for many programs, helping them shift from the traditional learning platform to remote. And it's good information regardless of what your discipline is you're teaching. And then you can email me at a later date if you'd like the presentation. If you have any questions, my email is joe@techlabs.com. The outline of the webinar is we're going to do an introduction of who Tech Labs is, go over the e-learning library, then I'll go into an LMS demonstration, and then we'll go into a Q&A session. Tech Labs is a company that was formed back in 1977 by Tim and Dee Dee Brown. We cover 8 territories. My territories are half of Oklahoma, Colorado, and Wyoming. We have 24 members of our team. We're not just a reseller, we're a solution provider. So we do a lot of sessions one-on-one with schools. We do a lot of PD with instructors that are new to teaching or doing new programs. We have four full-time service technicians, and 4 in-house sales support. This is what Karen read earlier about me. And then now I'm going to go into the library we're going to be looking at. This library is what I used when I taught at Central Tech when I left manufacturing. And I found that this library covers so much content, it's hard to just put it with a certain T&I program or pre-engineering or STEM. It has over 1,000 modules with 4,000 hours of content. It's super user-friendly, very interactive, and that's key. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. And it has virtual trainers embedded within. It's SCORM compliant, so if you're using a different LMS and don't want to use Amitrols, you can drag and drop the courses to your LMS. If you do use the Amitrol LMS, it's available to, you can customize it, put your school's logo on, your training institute's logo on there, whatever. Every course starts with a pre-quiz and then ends up with a post-quiz. It's got great, easy reporting tools. You can custom design the courses to fit your needs, and you have access 24/7 with the internet connection. Adaptive release means you're able to only let the students see what you want them to see because the library is so large, they could get lost in it. And it's aligned with many national certifications. I'm going to play a couple quick videos. Hopefully they will play.
Amitrol's multimedia curriculum engages learners with interactions that are relevant to the topic and are designed to enhance comprehension. This video provides a small sample of Amitrol's extensive e-learning library that contains hundreds of courses and thousands of training hours. This interactive e-learning is available online 24/7 through Amitrol's free LMS. You can assign existing courses, or you can pick and choose from Amitrol's massive library of e-learning modules to create a customized course that more closely fits your specific needs. Amitrol's e-learning uses proven instructional design techniques to provide a rewarding learning experience. In addition to various interactions, the e-learning features videos, animations, and 3D graphics. Visit Amitrol.com to see the full range of available e-learning products. Then request a free demo for any courses of interest. This no-obligation demo provides access to the entire course or courses so that you can fully evaluate its ability to meet your needs. Embedded in several e-learning courses are Amitrol's virtual trainers. These simulators allow users to test their recently acquired knowledge, which is key to retention. From fully functional hydraulic systems to calipers and micrometers, these virtual systems are great for an online-only course or when you need to supplement your physical trainers to handle more students. Amitrol's interactive curriculum starts at the basics and continues through more advanced topics. Utilizing its modular format, you determine how far you wish to go. Visit Amitrol.com and request your free e-learning demo today.
Was everyone able to hear that?
Yes, we were. Great graphic on that, Joe.
I have one more. It's not as long. It goes by pretty quick, but then we'll slow down and then get into the meat and potatoes portion of it.
Need more instructional flexibility in your technical training program? Then look no further than Amitrol's virtual simulators. With its hands-on interactive technical skill development, students using Amitrol's virtual simulators get the look and feel of using real industrial equipment via their computers. Backed by stunning graphics and easy-to-use interactivity, users will perform the same industry-based tasks they would using equipment hardware, developing skills desperately needed in today's modern manufacturing environment. Virtual simulators come standard with more than 20 Amitrol training systems spanning several different technologies, including electrical, electronics, fluid power, machining, manufacturing processes, mechanical, and quality assurance. With practical knowledge and direct application of skills to modern industry, Amitrol's virtual simulators gives your program the hands-on skill development it needs to take your technical training to the next level.
I don't know if you caught how he was talking about the interactive multimedia and how it promotes learning, but that's what these next few slides go over. And I think it's very critical, especially with a hybrid classroom, remote learning, having your students not in the class at all or half the time, that you've got to keep them engaged. And when I was choosing my curriculum back at Drumright, I went through many of them to try to see what would be the most engaging for the students and applicable to the industry that I was training for, which was electromechanical systems or automation or industrial maintenance, whatever terminology you want to put on it. The curriculum, it had so many different areas that it covered, like mathematics, but it wasn't calling it mathematics. When I mentioned math in my classroom, heads would roll and dry heaves would start, but when you put it into the lesson where that's actually part of something they're wanting to do, and they're wanting to calculate a gear ratio or you know, force and calculate resistance and things like that they're wanting to learn, they stay so much more engaged, and they're picking up some other sides of education that you wouldn't think they would get. And this is really critical when you think about it on any e-learning, is you want them to be able to retain what they've gone through. And it's proven that 90% of what they do, 70% of what they say and write, they're going to retain. These are some interactive slides that I'm just going to go through real quick that show you the different interactions that the Amitrol has put in. So this one is calculations. This next one's an interaction combo box. So they're going to have to choose from different options of how to measure it, how to identify it, how to know the angle of the thread. These are step through, and something I want to stop here and talk about is that Amitrol teaches from a step-by-step basis. So it teaches you to follow steps, and whether you're in aviation maintenance, you're a scientist, whatever, you're following a process, you're following steps. And instead of just letting them kind of flounder, they walk them through it. They make sure they have every ability to pick up what they need to pick up for whatever the lesson is. This one's multiple choice. And then this one is a knowledge check where they've actually learned the schematic, and now they've got to drag things over to identify where it should go in the circuit. This one's a drag and drop, so they're going to identify the components of a vise. It lets them know when they've got the right answers, and it's going to show them when they've got them backwards. Now I'm going to go into the actual Amitrol LMS. And I'm going to enter it as a student would enter it, so you can see what a student's view would look like. So this student's Joe Carter. This is his library center right here. This is where he would see the e-learning courses. He would see his progress report. Messages aren't typically sent to students and notifications, but they can give updates where it might show that this course has been modified or this typo has been corrected, something like that. And this is what a student would see. This is the Amitrol library, and these are custom courses that were created from within the Amitrol library. I'm going to go into the aviation maintenance course because that's the topic today. So this course I created last week when we were given the opportunity to present here. And these are the courses that I've pulled, or the topics that I've pulled from the aviation maintenance program. The very first one called General. So it's going to go over safety, hand tools, basic electrical circuits, fluid power, and then into materials. The student would go through and go in this sequence. They would take the pre-quiz, so he scored a 79, then they would launch the library and go through that, then they would take a quiz. The reason these are grayed out is because the student hasn't taken the pre-quiz yet. If the student wanted to see what their scores were, they have multiple views they can do. So they might look at the course view, and it shows what they've done. Here he made 100 on the pre-quiz, and then I guess slept off and made a 92. And then this is a critical component as you're talking about your hybrid classroom. Students can do the skills, even though they may or may not be able to come into your lab. They can do skills with the virtual trainers online, and then you can record their skills and track their hands-on side. That was critical for my program, was to be able to verify that the students knew how to perform the skills they needed. Theory is a great thing, but where the rubber hits the road in the industries that I taught in, you needed those skills. A lot of kids have trouble with tests, and so I always would validate a lot better score on their hands-on component. Or they can, to go back to reports, then they can do the library view, or they can do a detailed view. So a detailed view is going to look like a report card. So you can see this is what the student would see. It shows when they started the course, when they last accessed it, the pre-quiz, the post-quiz. Any retakes, you can allow the students to retake it as many times as you want. And then their skill tracking. So out of seven skills, you completed all 7. You got a 3.1, and that's on a scale of 0 to 4. Now I'm going to log out of the student, and I'll log in as an administrator teacher so you can see the view that they have. So this is a view that an administrator would have. As we mentioned on the slide, a few slides back, that you can customize this to say central technology, automation technology, whatever the name may be, you have the opportunity to customize that, and I'll show you that here in a minute. The administrator has full access to the Amitrol library, which is right here. And then it would also show them any courses that they've created custom. Some of these other courses on here you won't have access to because they're created special for us salespeople to go out and show them off. Then you have the progress report. These are the messages I was talking about where it would tell you there's been a new WebGL update. Everyone knows that Flash is going away, and most of Amitrol's prior content ran in Flash, but they're now converting all their courses over. They're about 80% complete. It's a lot better resolution, a lot higher quality. And as they update them, they send messages and notifications out. And the notifications they send out as well when they make a correction to something within a course. And then the instructor has the reporting view, standard, summary, and detail, just like the student did, but you can also run a report for the whole class if need be. This next link would show you where you would manage your users. So these are all the users within the tech labs, and we want to manage Joe Carter. So this is where we would update his user information. This is where we would manage his activation code. So his code will expire in 2026. We would manage his tags. So he's assigned agriculture technology. And you could create more tags depending upon if you wanted different courses or you wanted students all assigned to different sub-organizations. And then this one tab here is for adaptive release. This is where you can allow the student to see the whole library, where you can show the pre-quiz, hide the content, show the quiz, customize it to whatever works for you. And this is where the administrator would manage privileges of the users. Most students don't have anything other than access to the library, but you may want to have administrators that can run reports or assign codes. If you have like a bookstore, they would have the privilege to do that. And then well, the last one I was going to show you is reset the password, because typically as instructors, we always end up resetting passwords, especially the first 2 or 3 months of the school year. Manage activation codes. This is where you would see all the codes you have within your organization, where you would send out code links to get the students authorized to access the content, and you see when the codes are going to expire. This next tab is build a custom course. So what you do from that is you go to the main library and you would select what you wanted in your course, say basic hydraulics and basic pneumatics, and then some mechanical. I'm just picking some random systems here. And it tells me that you have a limit of 50 modules per course, which equates to about 150 to 250 hours, depending upon the speed. And I've selected 12 modules. So I'm going to create the course. I'm going to tell it to build the course, and then I'm going to title it whatever I would want it to be. The last one I did was Intro to Aviation Maintenance. And you can put a course number up there that corresponds with anything in your school or requirements, and then a course description, which they're all optional. I'm going to cancel this because I'm not going to create one right now. And this is where an administrator could do a demo, and there's really neat options for instructors on setting up demos. Is if you're working with industry partners like I did, and you're talking to them about what training you can offer to your industry partners, they're going to want to see the content. So you can send it to them. You can send it to their HR department. You can send it to their maintenance department. You can send it to the business side if they're wanting to teach something like lean manufacturing. Then they have 21 days to look at the content and could come back to you and let you know, hey, we really like this, and we want to set up a program for some of our incumbent workers. Demo reporting is kind of where you send demos out. I'm kind of telling on myself, and I can tell if any demos that I've sent out have been opened or not. So you reach out and say, hey, have you been using the demo? And they tell you, yeah, and you look and they haven't. You're like, well, let's circle the wagons here. And then a course outline setup is where you basically send out the link that shows the Amitrol library, but they don't have access to the content. Then you can get a report on if they've opened it or not. Expiring activation codes goes into when a code is going to run out of time, and so you need to hurry up and use it. Any Amitrol code is good for 12 months from the date of purchase, and the time doesn't start until the code has been opened and activated. And this last one is settings, and this is where you would customize your view for your school. This is where you could change any custom courses you created. So say on my STEM course, I didn't want hydraulic power to be first. I wanted to get right into the mechanical drive systems and all that. I would just arrow those up or down, however I wanted them to be in the course after I've started it and decided I didn't like the sequence that it was in. Managed tag categories would be where you've got, say your school has 5 programs used in the library. So you've got ag tech, you've got electrical 101, you've got pre-engineering, you've got STEM, even some summer programs. You create those and then assign those to the students. And then tag organizations would be the breakdown of those groups that you've assigned. So now I'm going to go in and open up a few courses just to let you see how it's narrated, and also explain the nomenclature for the course. So right here you can see this is motor control, and it's got a V in front of it. It's got a computer screen. The computer screen indicates that there's no hands-on skills required to go through that course. There will be skills in there, and they're either writing them on paper, or they're doing some interaction, or they're using a virtual trainer, and that's what the V stands for, is there's a virtual trainer within that course. A wrench means that's typically tied to an associated trainer that Amitrol has, where they would go out, and after they go through the theory side, they would access the skill sheet, and then they would go out to the trainer and perform the skill. And what they do on that is they pop up a PDF. It tells them what they would need to do the skill, and then walks them through what they're going to be doing. This one, they're going to check the wall outlet for electricity. I'm going to launch electrical measurements. Got to allow flash to apologize, I didn't do that earlier.
Joe, do you want to take questions as we go, or do you want to wait till the?
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Yes, ma'am. Let this play its intro real quick and then fire away. Did we have one, Karen?
Yes, we had one in the chat. Has this e-learning been approved by the FAA, or would it be supplemental to the approved curriculum?
That is an excellent question. This is a supplemental to the approved. So this has not been vetted by the, excuse me, the FAA. But when you talk about basic electrical circuits, this is going to teach you the same content that they would be teaching, and it would supplement whatever program you're looking to do. It's not going to cover the complete aviation maintenance program, because that gets into some very specific areas. But as far as like learning how to use the hand tools, learning how the hydraulic circuit works, things like that, it's excellent for a supplemental.
Okay. Another question is, are you updating your online materials to not require flash, since it won't be supported after December?
Yes, I'll show. Go ahead.
No, I think that's what you were talking about a little bit about the updates, but go ahead.
Yes, Amitrol has converted already about 80% of their content to what's called WebGL, and I'll show you some of that here in just a second.
Okay.
So they're converting everything over. They will beat the deadline of December and be good to go.
We've got one more question, or do you want to do?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Is this available to our students in public school settings? And if so, do they work on this at their own pace, and what is the cost?
The cost for a school to do what's called an unlimited license is roughly around $4,100. And I only recommend that when you would have more than 100 students going through it, but it gives an unlimited number of students access to the content, an unlimited number of administrators to create different programs. So you could create STEM, FFA or ag tech, aviation, whatever your course may be. And so if you're looking at over 100 students, it's a great opportunity. If you only had 20 students, then they do individual seat pricing, which runs about $90 a seat for a 10-month license.
Thank you very much.
It is self-paced. I try to, basically, let me go back a second here. To know how long a course should take, each module should take 3 to 5 hours if it's a module. If it's an actual course that they've created, which Amitrol is starting doing these, they're about 45 minutes. So with just a little bit of simple math, you could create a program with the number of hours that you're looking for, and then know to your students, hey, you guys should be done by Friday going through the Introduction to Advanced Manufacturing of the first 5 courses of this course here. Was there another question?
Yes, the follow-up question too. Is it unlimited license good at a school with multiple campuses or multiple sites?
Give me a little more in-depth definition of what you're saying. Multiple.
For instance, if Oklahoma Public City Schools wanted to do the unlimited license, it wouldn't just have to be at one high school. In order to do that, they could use it at all of their high schools. Or if we had a large technology center, they could use that unlimited license and it would be good at, say, 4 of their campuses.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Great questions.
Absolutely. So I was going to show, let me go ahead and show some Flash, what Flash looks like now. So. See, I'd say relaunching WebGL, relaunching Flash.
Describe the operation of a double-acting pneumatic cylinder.
They wanted me to do the narration, but I just didn't have time, so that's a joke too.
A pneumatic cylinder is an actuator that converts compressed air power into straight-line mechanical power. Pneumatic cylinders are used in applications such as pick-and-place operations to move material from one point to another. They are capable of very high speeds.
As this is an interaction right here where they want you to actually go over and press the start button and watch the device operate. Something else I want to point out is these little highlighted words give definitions for the students. And I kind of would get off the beaten path and have them take notes on this, because sometimes I would do quizzes just for fun to see if they were paying attention throughout the lesson. So it's just what I used it for. The narration, I've let her play enough. You can mute it and go through at your own speed. And this just shows some of the graphics. And it's saying because I haven't performed the interaction that I need to stay here and do the interaction, which I'm trying to figure out what part they want me to do. Oh. So it's letting you see the cutaway of it. This is a new one for me. I've not seen this one before. Now we're going to go back and see there's a skill. So we're going to go to skill. This is where the student, if they were in a lab and they needed to go out and they had a portable trainer, they would click on this and get the PDF. If they had the larger trainer, they would click on this and get the PDF, and that just shows the different views, because sometimes students get vapor lock when they walk up to a trainer and it doesn't match item for item. And then this is the simulator for it. And what's really good in this remote world that we're in is the students can take screenshots of these circuits or whatever it is that they're doing in a virtual trainer. So they can send you that screenshot to prove it. You can do a webinar where you're watching them do it live. They're hooking up the circuit. It shows them the schematic. It shows them the components to add and how to hook it up. It walks them through it step by step. So where they would just add components and then add hoses. And these are open-ended simulators, so students are allowed to make mistakes. And that's something I think we all know is crucial because you learn by your mistakes. So I'm going to close this one out. And now I'll go into a flash one just so you can see it. Are there any more questions so far?
No, just great comments.
Well, I'll take the great comments. Just keep the other ones away, please.
We delete those right out.
Okay, I appreciate that. So we'll go in this one and this is flash here. You guys can only imagine that sound every morning at 8 a.m. when there's 25 computers and they all decide to turn the volume up just for fun to hear that play. But at least you know the lessons were started. Some more interaction. So you kind of get the gist of it. And I really like to save the last little bit of the presentation for anybody that wants to see anything specific in the LMS, wants to have any direct questions. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up.
All right, we've got a couple for you in the chat, and then we can most definitely open it up. Where can we find a list of all the interactive e-learning courses that you have available?
Just send me an email and I will send you the course outline. And what the course outline will show you is it will show you this look right here, all these courses. When you click on it, you can tell whether it's got a virtual with it or not. You can see the content and the topics in it. And then if you come back and say, hey, I want a demo, I want to really look at these courses from an in-depth view, I'll set you up with a demo that lasts about 21 days. But I've shared it with instructors that didn't have time to get something bought. They just needed to use it to get them through the end of their semester or whatever. So I'll be glad to do that as well. I can send you the complete library, but it's huge. Like I said, it's over 1,000 modules and 4,000 hours of content. But I've done that many times as well. So just shoot me a note and tell me whether you want the demo immediately of something or if you just want the course outline so you can look at it.
Absolutely. Gina has got his email down in the chat, so you can capture that and send that to him. Again, how do we get a demo of this to present to our superintendent or staff? This is awesome and so applicable to multiple career tech programs. Another comment, I would love for the kids to use the virtual multimeter before they blow the fuses in the real one.
And that's a great point because you can actually blow the meter in the simulator as well. So if you hook it up for voltage and you're measuring current, it'll smoke the meter right there in front of the students. And your earlier comment, I found that a lot of programs didn't realize their business side. If they've got a biz program out there, there's some great courses for them to take advantage of. So it covers so much that it's quality assurance. So It goes into the QA side with ISO, and it even has some soft skills, conflict resolution, working in groups, some mathematics if you wanted it.
We also had a comment about safety and use of tools would be very useful in a physics class.
Absolutely. Safety practices, overhead crane safety, lockout, tagout. I had one student that was taking my course just so he didn't have to take his school courses, but said when he went in for an interview with the company that he wanted to go apply to, they were so impressed with what he knew on the terminology. And I told him, hey, it all applies. These are some courses I mentioned earlier that I had created, but like in ag tech, of course, I start with safety, then basic hand tools, basic electrical measurements, some ladder logic, and then fasteners, mechanical drive systems. And then you would also add hydraulics and pneumatics because there's hydraulics all over the ag world. Business, I created this one. It goes into lean manufacturing processes, measurement analysis, improvement control, 5S. And some of these terms might not mean anything to some people, but in the biz world, they're pretty big. Here's one I created for pre-engineering. And again, I don't teach any of these courses other than industrial maintenance. So some of these were a guess, but it just shows you how you can customize the content to whatever you would like to add to it. And if you do have students that are better in Spanish than they are in English, Amitrol is converting their complete library over to bilingual. They've got quite a few courses right now, and I would have to send you a translator that would show you, but there's mechanical systems, robotics, electrical, fabrication, and some others, but I've got a spreadsheet that shows the translation because I do not speak Spanish.
Another comment, I want to take some of these courses myself. They are sold.
Very good. And someone had something about showing it to their the superintendent.
Yes.
We can do that multiple ways. I love going to a school if they can meet and setting up right there in front of them live where you get the immediate input, Q&A. We can do a webinar, or I could just send the instructor or whoever the demo and they could show it to them. So there's multiple ways. I've been doing webinars for like 4 a week now. And then for instructors that want a more in-depth, help me do this once I get the e-learning library. We sit there and we'll work with them and build whatever course they want to build and get them comfortable with it. And then if I have any trainers, because I go to a lot of trade shows, and unfortunately they're all virtual now, that an instructor would want to use one of the trainers that I might have, they just reach out to me and I'll drop it off and then pick it up after 30 days or whatever.
Also in the chat, just a reminder that at the end of the day, we will email each presenter's email address, phone number, presentation if we've got that. And that way, if you've missed something, you've got that available. And so that way you will have Joe's contact information and have all of the presenters' information in one format, easy to access.
And what I'll do for my PowerPoint is the last slide of it, which showed the link where I went into the LMS. I'll change that link to be a course outline demo where you could actually click on it and go right in to see the view of the courses. And then you could reach out and say, hey, I really like these. Let me know more about them. Send me info on it or send me the demo.
We also had a couple more about, you said, did you say that you have an extensive list of safety courses?
They are constantly updating and adding to match what's going on in the industry. They have a concentrated safety right here, but then they also go into safety on like motor controls, teaches about lockout, tag out, the safety there. And then with their newest courses, they've got machine safety, practicing safety in the workplace, accident response, fire and electrical safety. So they've got, I want to say probably 100 hours of content. If you wanted to stretch it out that far, we could put together a complete safety course that would cover everything they've got within it.
That's
There's
impressive.
machine safety, so talking about guards and the function of log out, tag out, so forth.
Another question is there a limit to the number of instructors who can set up courses on one unlimited license?
Nope. You
We
can have
like
as
that
many.
answer.
I'm sorry.
We like that answer.
Well, I do too. I used to, like I said, I used to teach, and I wanted to see more instructors take advantage of the library that I was using, just because of how the outcomes that I saw out of it. I know y'all were talking yesterday about a student that was making 70-something thousand being a dental hygienist. I've got the students in the industry right now that they've been out there now 3 years or 4, going on their 4th year, that they're making $70,000 to $80,000 a year in industrial maintenance. And then one of my students is actually now wanting to further his education, so he's now going to be teaching at Meridian Technology Center, and I'm
Yeah.
super excited for him. It just kind of warms my heart to see stuff like that happening. You know, you want your students successful, but then when they kind of follow in your footsteps, it's like, wow, that touches me.
Absolutely. They knew what good was, and they wanted to help other people just like they were helped, and pass that on. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Is it possible to share courses between instructors?
Oh yeah, you would create, that's where the tags come in. So say you had 3 programs that all wanted to teach hydraulics and a couple other things added to it, you could create that tag and share that. The library is set up basically just, it's like a free-for-all, however you want to configure it, or if you want them to go through it. I used Moodle at Central Tech, so I scored my content into my own custom look. I would take, for the topic of the course in Moodle, I would cut and paste this basically to let the students know what they were going to be covering, and then each one of these courses will drag and drop in there. So it's very customizable. Typically, when a school gets some seats or the unlimited license, we'll have a webinar with the experts. I mean, I taught on it, I loved it, but the Amitrol people know it the best, and they'll put on a little 2 or 3 hour webinar that you can sit in on.
That's wonderful. Looks like I have another couple that talks about, this is awesome. They worked in CAD and CAM company in Nashville for 15 years and learned a lot about the equipment and systems our program worked with, and it was way more interesting for females than in the past. If our Career Tech Business Center provides training to local business and industry and wanted to use this platform, does that 4,100 unlimited license cover us being able to set up a course to be used by local industry through our Career Tech, or is there a different pricing intended for business and industry?
If it's a secondary facility like Central Tech and Drumright, then they could fall under the unlimited seats. If it's strictly a post-secondary, then there would be different pricing. But I believe everyone that's on here is just K through 12, and so they would fall under that umbrella. I actually taught both. This is real quick. I taught a bunch of gas and oil guys when I was in Drumright. And so we did the hybrid classroom for them, because for a grown man that's worked a 10-hour shift to come in and sit next to a high school student for 3 hours was not working. So I allowed the gentlemen to do their theory at home, bring in a sheet that showed they were hooking up the circuit on the simulator, right? And then we'd go out on the lab and just do the hands-on component, and then they would get through the course that way. So I taught both high school and industry there, whether you want to call it workforce training, workforce development. But we did a hybrid classroom that allowed them the ability to not have to sit in the traditional setting because they were working regular hours. So that's kind of the other beauty of this, is sometimes they can do the courses at work, or they can just do them at home and then just prove that they went through it. You'll see if they've accessed it or not. And then if you do have a lab where you want to validate their hands-on components, which I was required to, then they came in and did that.
Gotcha. Another question is, how involved is industry in designing and validating your curriculum or content?
Industry is huge. Amitrol started as an automation company. I didn't really go into their history, but they were actually putting new automation in back in the early 70s. And what they were realizing was industry could not train the people because they didn't have anybody that knew it. So then they spun off Amitrol as a company, of education company just for industry. Amitrol has partnered with numerous companies, but they have non-disclosures to say who they are. But if you look at every distribution company that's out there, and you know the big ones with the stock, it's like $3,300 a share. They have been vetting and justifying and retweaking the curriculum to match their needs. So it's all industry driven, and they are located back in Louisville, Kentucky, actually Jeffersonville, Indiana, which is across the river from Louisville. And that's huge in manufacturing and automation out there. So they stay heavily involved with the industry guys to put together the right programs, to modify the curriculum, to update it. That's where they've came in. I know a lot of people have heard this new Smart Factory or Industry 4.0. That's where this program came from.
Excellent to hear that they have that much involvement in it. Couple other questions. So Tech Labs would provide SCORM packages to load into our Moodle LMS. So it sounds like they're asking if there's some connectability that they could pop those modules into LMS, to the Moodle LMS.
Yes, you have the ability to build SCORM packages from the library, then you drag and drop them. I don't believe it's changed since I did it. I actually built my own, so that's how simple it is, just to let you know. But you just drag and drop it into your LMS if it's SCORM compliant, and then the program's there. And mine, I can't guarantee it because I don't know all the different LMSs, but mine would pull the quiz grades right into my grade book. It wouldn't do the hands-on skills because I wasn't using the Amitrol LMS, but it would pull the quiz scores over.
Very good. Had another comment about might have been some bad habits taught between those high school kids and the oil and gas folks, and she wouldn't know anything about that with any folks in her family, she says. That is a difficult thing to manage sometimes when you do have adults and high school students in your classes, and making sure that that's a good fit and making sure that there is peace. That was always kind of a thing that I struggled with the most, was the classroom management of those two different groups going on at the same time. Another comment, several of our tech centers have utilized the Amitrol content for some biz training, and manufacturing companies love it because it helps keep their production going, and they can customize that, and they have people that are there to help them with those different pieces. And so let us know here at the agency if there's anything that we can do to help with that.